is not present. Any persons or witnesses providing facts or evidence on behalf of the respondent? Seeing none, members? Member Moss.
Mr. Hartz, would you approach? So I find your argument really persuasive. But I do want to ask a question, sir. The committee level had found a 6721E violation, and I believe that for failing to send a representative to the hearing and explain the basis for its decision. And I went and I looked at 6721E, and that seems to be specifically about records withholding. Like the language is, an authorized representative of the custodian of public records shall attend any hearing and explain the basis for its decision to withhold the records requested. I am wondering whether, I know you believe that this is a willful violation, and you made a strong case for that. You know, obviously the 150-word thing is the source of your complaint. I'm wondering whether you agree with the committee that 6721E is the appropriate section for this.
Well, if that was in addition to 6716 and 6734, then yes.
So 6734 wasn't included in what the committee had recommended, according to my.
Well, I know it was not in the committee recommendation, but as Member Wolf said earlier.
Yeah, no, I'm not disputing that you can bring it up and we can discuss it. What I'm asking is, I'm just telling you what the decision from the committee's recommendation to us, which is not a final decision. I'm just saying that they had specifically said 6716 and 6721E.
Well,
and I'm just curious about your thoughts on the 6721.
Look at page 272. Chair Wolf and all members of the SOTF, I made it clear that my complaint 17048 was also for violation of 6734 for willful failure.
Yeah, that's not the question I'm asking. I understand. That's not the point I'm trying to get. I'm trying to ask you what your thoughts are about the 6721E finding. Like, let's not talk about 6734, 6716. The recommendation from the committee was for a 6721E violation, and I'm wondering what your thoughts are.
For failing to send a representative?
Right.
I agree, yes, that was a violation, an additional violation. And I'll be honest with you, my opinion on that, since that's kind of what you asked for, is the fact that they really don't have a leg to stand on. And if Ms. Calvillo really believed what she was arguing, she would show up here and she would tell you that. But she sent Mr. Ng, and Mr. Ng is like Sue Blackman from the Library Commission. She's the person you send to have people throw darts at, because you don't want to go there because they might ask you a question that you don't want to answer.
Great. Can I ask D.C. Cola the same question of whether 6721E can be whether 6721E can be applied to a issue relating a open meeting minutes related issue, or if it's narrowly limited to records withholding?
I mean, the plain language of it does say that it's regarding records requests. They didn't send a representative, but the complaint was more so geared towards, well, sunshine-related issues that stem from a policy body meeting. So,
Is there another section that says that if it's a complaint against?
This is the city attorney.
why don't you do? I mean,
Notice
if
the
they're asking for
hesitation.
willful, and you guys are going to go that route, then 67, then a violation of 6716 and or what was it? It was
34.
And 6734, I think should be sufficient.
He thinks.
There's no sin.
I'm just curious, because I don't think there is, but this might just be a flaw with the sunshine ordinance that is there anything requiring them to send a representative for an open meetings violation?
I think it's probably implied, but from the plain language of 6721E, well, public information and public records. The plain language has it pertaining particularly to custodian of records and for records requests. So,
The idea for, I'll support what D.C. Cole is saying, the idea for 6721E is it's not so much a whether a record, it's not so much whether the request was not necessarily complied with, it's whether the request was denied because it was not public. Okay? If you read the true language of it, it says that they should inform the petitioner for the request of the information as to whether any part of the record is public or not, and if they're denying access because they're stating that it's not public, and the Sunshine Task Force finds that it is public, then the next part starts to apply. I understand it's not written very well. Much of the original Sunshine Ordinance is not written very well.
Is that an
Some of the
omission?
stuff could have been broken out into sub-paragraphs to show kind of what the process would be. So I think that 6721 is wholly CPRA.
So not open meetings.
It's no. If the question becomes if somebody were to say, well, the 150-word written statement you submitted is not public, then that's the different question, okay? But we know that it's public because there's a provision that allows for it to be included. The question here is there a violation of whether the inclusion was properly processed? Okay. So I understand what you're saying.
The reason I'm asking this is because I don't want to make a motion that includes the committee's recommendation if that's an error, because if this is a process where we send it to ethics and the next step for ethics is litigation, and we've sent it with 3 violations, one of which may be erroneous, then that weakens the overall case. So
I would suggest then make separate motions for each one, okay? Because then if this body decides to send it to ethics, then they can determine which one. You can actually cite it, which one you think is the one that applies.
Well, I mean, I want to make a motion then, unless we want to discuss a little bit more.
Well, we haven't finished the process
sorry.
yet, so let's finish the process.
Sorry.
And then we'll get to it. Member Joshua.
So the reason that 6721 was added the way that it was that there was a realization that there wasn't an adequate representative there, and there wasn't a close read to identify how this is potentially not inclusive of this particular complaint. And given the fact that, I'm a little iffy on the idea that they only need to send a representative under this particular angle, but for this particular case around the willful violation, I think that the strategic thing is to drop that from it and just do the 16 and.
So let me just just for the essence of the procedure, I'd like for us to get through rebuttals first, because that particular process is so that both parties have the ability to refute or agree with the original testimony, and then we can discuss the merits of what the violation should or should not be.
Well,
I think Member Moss is jumping the gun a little bit.
Well, I was sort of trying to. Member Moss's question was about what transpired in the.
I understand, but he's moving quickly to find violation of a section. So I want to get the information, ponder it, and then we'll have a full discussion about what motion should or should not be made. I'm just trying to.
No, I understand that. I'm just trying to sort of clarify what happened in the meeting that I wasn't quite prepared to. And Ray Hartz actually did a much better job than any summary I would have done anyhow.
Just want to make it kind of understandable for everybody.
Sure. So the last point I wanted to make was that the committee, if I remember correctly, identified that there was we were inclined to recommend the 16, but it didn't seem like there was necessarily unanimousness around the willful violation, so that's how it ended up recommended with a violation, but not addressing the willfulness or not, because we felt that that was a matter that was needed to be discussed amongst the full task force.
Anything else? Any other questions or clarifications? Okay, let's go to rebuttals. Respondent is first. Respondent's not here. Petitioner.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Respondent's not here, but petitioner is here. 3 minutes.
Ray Hartz, Director, San Francisco Open Government. I would like you to ponder one question. If you think simply passing another violation of 6716 will take you any further with the clerk of the board than the other 4 prior violations, then I think you need to have some psychological counseling or something. Ms. Calvillo has made clear she is not going to listen to what you're telling her. She is not going to put them in the body of the minutes. Now, if you looked at, you remember that list I showed you, the first decision in this matter was in 2010, 7 years ago. And the city attorney's office has had 7 years to write an actual legal opinion saying that it doesn't mean in the body of the minutes, and the task force is wrong, and he has not done that. And how many of you think that it isn't because he wouldn't like to, or do you believe, as I do, it's because he hasn't got a legal leg to stand on? The law clearly says, if I submit the 150-word summary, or if you submit a 150-word summary, it will go in the body of the minutes. And I would like you all to consider sometime when you go to a school board meeting or some other meeting that's important to you, and you bring up an item over and over and they ignore you, and you at least want it in the record that you brought it up so that they can never say, oh, nobody said anything to us. That's what this 150-word summary is about. And the Sunshine Ordinance, as in all these types of laws, cannot detract from freedom of speech. It adds to not only the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of California, the Brown Act, but it gives the citizens of the city and county of San Francisco the additional option of ensuring that their free speech, their constitutionally protected political free speech, will show up in the minutes of the meeting, and that they cannot be abridged, misrepresented, or anything else, which is why I did this. For years, I would go to the Library Commission and I would say stuff, and then they would approve meeting minutes at the next meeting that said I said something different than what I actually said. And then they said, well, if you don't like the fact we did that, come back and complain it during next meeting's general public comment. So we've gone round and round, but the bottom line is, after 10 times of deciding it, obviously the task force has taken a tack. And Ms. Calvillo has not agreed 4 prior occasions. She has not agreed on this occasion. I do not believe, honestly, she will agree. And it needs to go to ethics so that there can be a hearing as to why she is the only one who won't follow what the law specifically says.
Thank you. Okay, members, now let's talk about a motion